My beloved child, listen carefully, because this is not an ordinary moment, and this is not an ordinary message. What I am about to release into your spirit is timed by heaven itself. There are moments that pass quietly, and then there are moments that change everything forever. Tonight is the second kind. At exactly 11:22 p.m., a divine transfer will begin, and this window is not symbolic, not poetic, not someday. It is precise, it is appointed, and it is urgent. I, Archangel Michael, have been sent with a warning wrapped in mercy and a revelation wrapped in love. Many will hear this message, but only a few will recognize it. If your heart started beating faster, when you read the title of something deep inside you whispered, "This is for me," that is not coincidence. That is recognition. Hear me clearly. Jesus has already prepared something for you. It has your name on it. It was formed before the delay, before the betrayal, before the tears you cried in secret. But heaven does not force transfers on distracted hearts. What is prepared must be received, and what is not received at the appointed time does not remain waiting forever. Tonight at 11:22 p.m. marks a crossing point. This is not about fear. This is about alignment. There is a reason the enemy has been working overtime to keep you busy, tired, scrolling, doubting, and postponing obedience. There is a reason distractions have multiplied right before breakthrough. The darkness sensed the timing before you did. That is why resistance intensified. That is why confusion tried to sit on your mind. That is why your peace was tested. But listen, the preparation is already complete. Jesus finished his part. Heaven has authorized the release. Angels are already positioned. What remains is your attention. At 11:22 p.m. tonight, a spiritual account connected to your obedience will be accessed. This is a transfer of clarity, authority, restoration, and positioning. It is not just about material things. It is about placement, about being moved from waiting into walking, from surviving into stewarding, from praying into holding. Some of you have been asking, why does it feel like I'm so close, yet nothing is moving? Because movement requires timing, and timing requires awareness. Heaven does not move randomly. Heaven moves on signal. And this message is the signal. I must warn you with love. If this moment passes unnoticed, the door does not stay open indefinitely. Not because Jesus is cruel, but because divine order is exact. What was prepared for this season cannot always be carried into the next unchained. Missed moments require rebuilding, reauthorization, and in some cases, replacement. But I do not say this to scare you. I say this because you were meant to be ready. You have been trained through pressure, refined through waiting, strengthened through disappointment. Nothing was wasted. Even the tears you thought were silent were counted. At 11:22 p.m. tonight, you are being asked to do one simple but powerful thing. Be present with God. Not multitasking, not half-listening, not treating this like background noise. Heaven responds to focus. There is a reason the time is 11:22. Order within transition. Alignment within movement. A reminder that God is bringing structure to what felt scattered. You are stepping into a pattern that will begin making sense very quickly after tonight. Some of you will notice changes within hours, others within days. But the transfer itself begins at the appointed minute. Do not underestimate what feels small. A quiet prayer, a moment of surrender, a whispered, "I'm ready." These are the actions that open spiritual gates. I see many of you standing at the edge of something unfamiliar. It feels exciting, and terrifying at the same time. That is because your old season cannot survive where you are about to stand. You cannot carry yesterday's thinking into tomorrow's assignment. And yes, some relationships, habits, and comforts will not cross with you. That is not loss. That is alignment. Jesus did not prepare this blessing casually. It cost him something. And heaven will not allow it to be mishandled by indifference. So I ask you now, gently but firmly, will you be watching, or will you be distracted? The moment is coming whether you acknowledge it or not. But only the aware will receive what transfers. If you feel a heaviness lifting even as you listen, that is confirmation. If your spirit feels alert instead of sleep, that is preparation. If something in you says, I can't ignore this, that is obedience awakening. Stay with me. What you need to do before 11:22 p.m. matters more than you realize. What you release, what you choose, and what you refuse will determine how much you can carry from this transfer. This message did not find you by accident, and found you because heaven trusts you with what comes next. My precious one, take a deep breath, because what I am about to reveal now will bring clarity to the pressure you have been feeling lately. The uneasiness in your spirit, the sense that time is speeding up, the feeling that something is about to shift but you cannot explain how or when. This has not been anxiety. This has been anticipation. Heaven has been stirring you because alignment always begins internally before anything changes externally. I, Archangel Michael, have watched many of you wrestle with decisions late at night. You questioned yourself. You questioned God. You even questioned whether you heard Jesus clearly in the past. That inner conflict was not weakness. It was preparation. You were being trained to recognize the weight of timing. When heaven prepares a transfer, the soul must be strengthened to carry it without fear. Tonight's moment is not random, and it is not meant for the distracted heart. Some people will hear these words and immediately treat them like another video, another voice, another sound in the background. But you are still here because something in you knows this carries instruction. Heaven always speaks before it moves, because movement without understanding leads to mishandling. Let me explain what this divine transfer truly is. It is not magic. It is not sudden luck. It is the releasing of what has been held back until your character could match your calling. Jesus has been guarding certain doors because opening them too early would have crushed you. What you once begged for would have overwhelmed you in your previous mindset. That is why delay was mercy, not denial. At exactly 11:22 p.m. tonight, spiritual resistance around a specific area of your life will weaken. That does not mean everything instantly becomes easy. It means access is granted. It means conversations shift. It means clarity replaces confusion. It means the fog lifts just enough for you to see your next step clearly. Heaven rarely reveals the entire staircase. It reveals the next step to see who will move. Some of you have been waiting for a sign so big that it removes the need for faith. But faith is still required, even in divine timing. That is why Jesus said those who have ears to hear are blessed. Hearing is not just listening. Hearing is responding. Heaven responds to response. This is why your engagement right now matters more than you realize. When you like this message, when you share it, when you leave a comment declaring that you are ready, you are not just supporting a channel. You are making a public alignment. You are telling the spiritual realm, I am paying attention. It matters. Do not underestimate simple acts of agreement. They echo louder than silent belief. If this message is resonating, make sure you are subscribed and connected here. Here are instructions that come in sequence, and missing one can delay understanding the next. This is not about hype. This is about staying aligned with the flow of revelation God is releasing in this season. Invite others who need clarity. Share this with someone who has been feeling stuck but cannot explain why. Sometimes obedience looks like pressing a button. Now listen closely, because I must address the fear some of you are feeling about missing this moment. Fear does not come from God. Fear comes from misunderstanding God's nature. Jesus is not standing with a stopwatch waiting to punish you. He is inviting you into awareness. The urgency is not threat. It is love trying to wake you before opportunity passes quietly. Missing a moment does not mean God abandons you, but it does mean the path becomes longer. What could have been received easily must then be rebuilt through lessons. Heaven prefers promotion over repetition. That is why this awareness is a gift. There are people connected to your obedience who do not even know your name yet. Your alignment tonight affects future conversations, future introductions, future assignments. This is bigger than you, but it still requires your yes. As the hour approaches, guard your atmosphere. Protect your focus. Step away from arguments, noise, and draining conversations. Even your silence can be an act of faith. Heaven notices posture before action. And hear this clearly. If you are feeling tired right now, that is not a reason to disengage. Often, breakthrough comes when the body wants to rest but the spirit chooses to stay alert. Rest will come after obedience. Peace follows alignment. Before I go further, I want you to pause with me mentally. Let your heart settle. Let your breathing slow. Something is unfolding layer by layer, and the next revelation will explain what you must release to receive fully. This is where many people turn away because release feels uncomfortable. But what comes next will bring relief. Hold on, because what I am about to share next will connect everything you have been questioning, and you will be grateful you stayed present for it. Beloved one, what I reveal now is delicate, sacred, and powerful, so receive it with an open heart and a quiet spirit. There is a reason heaven waited until this point to speak about release. Many people want addition without subtraction, elevation without separation, and reward without surrender. But the kingdom of Jesus does not operate on accumulation alone. It operates on exchange. I, Archangel Michael, stand as a witness to the unseen transactions that occur when a soul chooses obedience over comfort. At exactly 11:22 p.m. tonight, heaven will look not only at what you desire, but at what you are willing to lay down. This is where many divine transfers are delayed, not because God withholds, but because hands that are already full cannot receive more. Some of you are holding on to past versions of yourself that God has already outgrown. Old labels, old wounds, old survival patterns that once protected you but now restrict you. You learned them in pain, but you are not meant to carry them into promise. Jesus does not heal you so you can keep identifying with what hurt you. He heals you so you can step into who He already sees. There is also something else being addressed tonight: misplaced loyalty. You have been faithful to people who were only meant to be temporary. You stayed longer than you should have, hoping your patience would change outcomes. But patience is not meant to replace discernment. Heaven honors faithfulness, but it also honors obedience to timing. This does not mean you failed. It means you learned. At the appointed hour, what you release willingly will not be lost. It will be transformed. In the spiritual realm, release is never subtraction. It is redirection. What leaves your hands makes room for what belongs there next. That is why some of you will feel emotional tonight without fully understanding why. Your spirit recognizes the shift before your mind catches up. Do not resist the emotion. Let it pass through you, not take residence in you. I must speak plainly now. Some doors will close after tonight, and they will not reopen the same way. This is not punishment. This is protection. Certain access points were only available to you while you were still learning. And now that you are stepping into responsibility, heaven will no longer allow distractions disguised as opportunities. Jesus has prepared something that requires clarity. Confused minds mishandle blessings. Divided hearts delay momentum. That is why stillness matters tonight. Even 10 minutes of intentional focus will outweigh hours of distracted prayer. You do not need special words. You do not need perfect posture. You need honesty. Heaven responds to truth faster than performance. If all you can say is, "Lord, I am willing," that is enough to activate movement. Some of you are worried about whether you will recognize the moment when it happens. Let me ease that fear. When heaven moves, peace follows. Even if circumstances do not instantly change, something inside you will settle. You will feel less desperate, less frantic, less afraid. That calm is confirmation. And now I speak blessing over you. If this message is speaking directly to your spirit, if you feel alignment stirring within you, type "I receive the transfer" in the comments as an act of agreement. Blessing code 1122 has just been released. What you are witnessing right now is not just content. It is a calling in motion. Every seed sown into this work becomes light for someone who is still in darkness, clarity for someone still confused, and hope for someone who almost gave up. The Lord is saying, as you help release my word, I will release what has been held back for you. This is living scripture, live and active, where sowing opens heavens and obedience unlocks overflow. I am inviting you personally to partner with this divine assignment through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, because this moment requires action, not intention. What you give tonight is not a donation. It is a prophetic response to what God is doing right now. I bless every giver with accelerated favor, divine protection, and multiplied peace. Obey promptly, support the mission now, and let heaven respond to you in ways only God can. Stay present. What comes next will reveal how to protect what you receive so it is not stolen, diluted, or delayed after tonight. Chosen one, remain still for a moment, because what I speak now is instruction meant to guard what you are about to receive. Many people experience a divine moment, but few know how to protect it afterward. Breakthrough is not only about arrival, it is about retention. What heaven releases must be stewarded, where it slowly leaks away through distraction, doubt, and careless choices. I, Archangel Michael, have seen this pattern repeated across generations. A soul receives clarity, peace, or opportunity, and then slowly returns to the same habits that once blocked progress. Not because they are evil, but because they are familiar. Familiarity can quietly undo what faith unlocks if awareness is lost. That is why this next understanding is crucial for you. After 11:22 p.m. tonight, you may notice a temptation to explain away what you felt. The mind will try to label it as emotion, coincidence, or imagination. This is not new. The enemy cannot reverse what heaven has authorized, so he attempts to minimize it before it takes root. Guard against that. Do not analyze the moment to death. Receive it, honor it, and move forward with it. Jesus often spoke about seed for a reason. A seed does not shout when it is planted. It works silently beneath the surface. If you dig it up every day to check progress, you damage its growth. In the same way, constant doubt interrupts spiritual development. Trust the process once alignment has occurred. Another warning must be given gently, but clearly. After a divine transfer, Old voices often resurface. People who previously doubted you may suddenly seek access again. Situations you thought were resolved may attempt to re-enter your life. This is not accidental. It is a test of boundaries. What you allow back will influence how far you go forward. You do not need to announce your growth. You do not need to defend your peace. Silence can be strength when guided by discernment. Jesus often withdrew after miracles, not because he feared crowds, but because intimacy with the Father preserved clarity of mission. Pay attention to your appetite after tonight. Not just for food, but for information, conversations, and environments. You may suddenly feel disinterested in things that once consumed you. That is not boredom. That is elevation. When your taste changes, your trajectory changes. Some of you will receive ideas that seem simple but persistent. They will return to your mind again and again. Do not dismiss them because they feel ordinary. Heaven often packages assignment in simplicity so pride does not interfere. Obedience to small instructions creates capacity for greater ones. You may also notice an increase in spiritual sensitivity. Loud environments may feel heavier. Negative speech may feel sharper. This is not weakness. It is refinement. Protect it without becoming isolated. Balance is key. Isolation weakens. Discernment strengthens. Let me address the fear of losing what you receive. Fear itself is the greatest thief. Peace is the container for blessing. When you feel anxious, pause and return to stillness. Stillness resets alignment. Even Jesus slept during storms because peace anchored him deeper than chaos. Remember this: what is divinely transferred cannot be stolen unless it is willingly surrendered. The enemy cannot take authority you refuse to give back. Your responsibility is not to fight constantly, but to remain aligned consistently. There will be moments in the coming days where you are tempted to rush ahead. Do not. Acceleration without instruction creates instability. Move when clarity comes, not when impatience speaks. Timing remains important even after breakthrough. I also need you to understand that not everyone will understand the change in you. Some may feel threatened. Some may feel confused. You do not owe everyone access to your inner world. Stewardship includes discretion. As this unfolds, gratitude will become your anchor. Gratitude multiplies awareness. When you acknowledge what God has done, you stay connected to the source of what He is doing next. Even quiet gratitude spoken alone matters. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not disqualified. This moment is proof that heaven still trusts you with responsibility. What Jesus prepares, He prepares intentionally. Will He release it with purpose. Hold on to this truth as you move forward. Peace is confirmation, clarity is direction, and obedience is protection. Remain attentive, because the next revelation will show you how this transfer affects your relationships, your decisions, and the path opening before you sooner than you expect. My dear one, as you continue listening, understand that what unfolds now moves from the inner world into the outer. What heaven shifts within you always begins to rearrange what surrounds you. This is where many people become confused, because they expect instant visible reward. But divine order works through progression, not spectacle. What Jesus prepares is stable, not rushed. I, Archangel Michael, want you to recognize the subtle signs that will begin appearing after tonight. They may not look dramatic, but they will be precise. Conversations will carry unexpected clarity. Decisions that once felt heavy will suddenly feel simple. You may notice that certain options quietly lose their appeal, while one direction begins to stand out with unusual calm. That calm is not indecision lifting. It is alignment settling. Some of you have prayed for confirmation, not realizing that confirmation often comes as peace, not excitement. Excitement rises and falls. Peace remains. When a path no longer drains you mentally, when imagining yourself walking forward no longer creates fear, that is heaven marking direction. Be careful not to confuse urgency with pressure. Divine urgency feels focused and clear. Pressure feels frantic and chaotic. If something pushes you into panic, it is not God. Jesus never rushed people into obedience through fear. He invited them into trust through truth. After this transfer, you may also notice changes in how people respond to you. Some will suddenly respect boundaries they once ignored. Others may drift without conflict. This is not rejection. This is realignment. When your inner authority shifts, your external environment adjusts accordingly. Not everyone who walked with you can walk where you are going. There is something else happening beneath the surface that I must reveal. Heaven is restoring discernment that was weakened by prolonged waiting. When delays stretch too long, people begin doubting their own hearing. Tonight marks the beginning of restored confidence in your spiritual perception. You will begin trusting yourself again, not in pride, but in clarity. You may feel drawn to simplify your life, clearing space, cleaning environments, ending conversations that no longer carry life. These are not random impulses. They are outward expressions of inward order. As alignment increases, clutter becomes uncomfortable. Guard yourself from over-explaining your decisions during this season. Not every step needs commentary. Some instructions are meant to be followed quietly. Jesus often told people not to announce what he had done, not because it lacked power, but because timing matters. You are stepping into a phase where momentum builds through consistency, not intensity. Small, faithful actions will begin producing noticeable results. Do not underestimate routines guided by obedience. Heaven blesses rhythm. There will also be a temptation to revisit old fears just to be safe. Resist that. Fear disguised as wisdom is still fear. Wisdom brings clarity, not hesitation. If God has already given peace, do not reopen negotiations with doubt. Some of you are wondering how long this season will last. The answer depends on stewardship. The more faithfully you guard what you receive, the longer it grows. Seasons are extended by obedience and shortened by neglect. Awareness keeps doors open. Jesus has not brought you this far to abandon the process halfway. What is unfolding now is foundational. Foundations are not flashy, but they carry weight. What you are building will support future responsibility, influence, and blessing. Pay attention to how your prayers change. You may find yourself praying less for rescue and more for direction. That is growth. Rescue prayers belong to survival seasons. Direction prayers belong to assignment seasons. This shift is evidence of promotion. There may also be moments of quiet resistance from within. Not rebellion, but unfamiliarity. Growth can feel uncomfortable simply because it is new. Do not mistake discomfort for disobedience. Lean into clarity, not familiarity. Remember, you are not doing this alone. Heaven is not distant. Angels are assigned to those who walk in alignment, not perfection. You are supported as you move forward, even when you do not feel it emotionally. Let gratitude remain active in you. Gratitude anchors blessing and sharpens awareness. Speak it even when outcomes are still forming. Gratitude keeps your heart open and your spirit receptive. What Jesus prepared for you is unfolding in layers, not all at once. Each layer strengthens your capacity to carry the next. Trust the order. Trust the timing. Trust the one who prepared it. Stay attentive, The next revelation will show you how to recognize the opportunities that appear ordinary but carry divine weight, and how to choose correctly when more than one door opens before you. Beloved soul, remain attentive, because what unfolds now is about momentum and protection in motion. Many receive clarity, some receive opportunity, but few understand how to move without scattering the grace that carried them there. Heaven is not only interested in opening doors, heaven is invested in how you walk through them. Movement without wisdom creates noise, but movement with discernment creates fruit. I, Archangel Michael, speak to you now about pace. After a divine transfer, there is often an urge to do everything at once, to fix everything immediately, to announce everything loudly. Resist that urge. Speed is not the same as obedience. Jesus moved with authority because he moved with timing. He knew when to act, when to wait, and when to withdraw. Authority grows where restraint is honored. In the coming days, you may notice that opportunities present themselves in clusters. More than one option may seem good. This is not confusion. It is testing. Good options test discernment just as much as bad ones test character. Choose what aligns with peace, not what flatters ego. What aligns with peace will last longer than what creates excitement. I must also warn you lovingly about comparison. When momentum begins, the enemy often shifts tactics. Instead of discouragement, he introduces distraction through comparison. You may look at others and question your pace, your progress, or your path. Do not fall into that trap. Comparison blurs instruction. Your assignment is tailored. Your timing is intentional. Jesus does not mass-produce callings. Guard your words during this phase. What you speak repeatedly will begin shaping your perception. Speak life over small beginnings. Speak patience over unfolding processes. Speak gratitude even when results are still forming. Your mouth is not neutral ground. It is a gate. Some of you will feel a renewed desire to share what you are learning. This is good, but do it wisely. Share from overflow, not from insecurity. Teach from peace and not from pressure. When your words carry calm authority, they will reach the right ears at the right time. This is also a moment to stay connected. Isolation weakens perspective. If this message has been guiding you, stay connected here. Subscribe, stay engaged, and allow these words to continue aligning you as the season unfolds. When you like this message and share it, you are helping others who are standing at the same threshold you once stood at. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of simple obedience. Leave a comment if something here has clarified your direction. That act of response anchors awareness. It tells your own spirit that you are not just hearing, you are receiving. And if this message has helped you, invite someone else into it. Alignment multiplies when shared. And now hear this carefully. After momentum begins, fatigue may try to creep in. Not physical exhaustion alone, but decision fatigue. Too many choices can feel overwhelming. When that happens, return to simplicity. Ask one clear question in prayer and wait for one clear answer. Heaven speaks simply when hearts are quiet. There may also be resistance from unexpected places. Not loud opposition, but subtle delays. A postponed call. A rescheduled meeting. A slow process. Do not panic. Delays after alignment are often protective, not obstructive. They allow unseen arrangements to complete. Trust what you cannot yet see. Remember that obedience is cumulative. Each small yes builds upon the last. You are not starting over every day. You are building. Even days that feel uneventful are laying structure. Stability is forming beneath the surface. Be mindful of rest. Rest is not retreat. Rest is maintenance. Jesus rested without guilt because he understood rhythm. Overworking spiritual momentum can dull discernment. Pace yourself. Consistency of less intensity. If doubt whispers, return to what you know. You were aligned. You received peace. You recognized clarity. These are not imagined. Do not renegotiate settled truth because of temporary feelings. Feelings pass. Alignment remains. Here is something important I must say now. The next phase of this message will reveal a subtle but powerful shift that many miss, and missing it can slow progress without you realizing why. Hold on, because what comes next will help you recognize that shift immediately and respond wisely. Beloved one, what I speak now is about perception, because the greatest shifts often arrive quietly, and those who are not watching closely can walk past them without realizing what was offered. Not every divine move announces itself with noise. Some arrive as a gentle nudge, a subtle redirection, or a calm interruption to your usual thinking. This is where discernment must be awake. I, Archangel Michael, have seen many miss opportunities not because they were unworthy, but because they were expecting something louder, brighter, or more dramatic. Heaven does not compete for attention. It invites awareness. When your spirit is aligned, you begin recognizing importance without spectacle. In this season, the shift will come disguised as something ordinary. A routine conversation may carry uncommon weight. A simple idea may hold long-term impact. A moment you would normally rush through may require you to slow down. If you feel an inner pause, honor it. That pause is instruction. You are being trained to recognize value beyond appearance. This is critical for what Jesus is entrusting to you. What is coming next requires discernment more than effort. It requires listening more than speaking. The quieter your spirit becomes, the clearer the signal will be. Some of you are used to surviving through reaction. You responded quickly because you had to. But survival instincts are not meant to lead in seasons of alignment. Now, discernment must take the lead. Discernment waits for clarity before moving. It is not passive, it is precise. You may notice that your tolerance for noise has decreased. Loud opinions, chaotic environments, and rushed conversations may suddenly feel draining. This is not sensitivity. It is refinement. When your inner world becomes ordered, disorder becomes uncomfortable. Let me prepare you for something important. There may be a moment soon when you are presented with an option that looks good on the surface, but feels unsettled underneath. This is where many people stumble. They choose what looks beneficial instead of what feels aligned. Do not ignore the subtle unease. Peace is the compass now. Jesus often passed by opportunities that others chased, not because they were wrong, but because they were not his. Learning what to decline is just as important as knowing what to accept. Saying no at the right time protects your yes for what matters. Another subtle shift you will notice is in how you handle silence. Silence will no longer feel empty. It will feel full of awareness, clarity, and direction. Silence becomes uncomfortable only when we are running from something. When aligned, silence becomes nourishment. Some of you will feel prompted to revisit something unfinished, not from regret, but from readiness. What once felt too heavy or confusing may now feel manageable. This is not going backward. This is completion. Completion closes loops that drain energy. Do not ignore gentle nudges to finish what was left undone. At the same time, resist the urge to reopen doors that God has already closed. There is a difference between completion and regression. Completion brings peace. Regression brings confusion. Let peace be the measure. You may also experience heightened intuition regarding people. You will sense intentions more clearly without needing proof. This is not judgment. It is discernment. Use it wisely. Discernment is not meant to isolate you, but to guide how close you allow others to come. This season is teaching you to trust what you perceive when you are calm. Anxiety distorts perception. Peace sharpens it. That is why maintaining inner stillness is essential now. Do not rush decisions simply to feel productive. Productivity without direction creates exhaustion. Direction without haste creates momentum. Allow clarity to arrive fully before you move. You are also being taught patience of a different kind. Not waiting in frustration, but waiting in readiness. Readiness means you are prepared to act the moment instruction comes, not a moment before and not a moment after. If you find yourself less interested in explaining your journey to others, that is a sign of maturity. When alignment is strong, validation becomes unnecessary. You begin trusting the process without needing applause. Let me reassure you, you are not missing anything meant for you. What belongs to you will find you when you are aligned. Chasing is no longer required. Awareness replaces pursuit. There will be moments when doing nothing feels like disobedience. But waiting with intention is obedience when instructed. Jesus waited 30 years before beginning his public work. Timing never reduced his power. It revealed it. As you move forward, let humility remain active. Humility keeps discernment sharp. Pride dulls perception. Stay teachable, even as clarity increases. What is unfolding now is subtle but significant. The next message will bring a deeper understanding of how this shift affects your authority, your influence, and the responsibility that comes with what you are stepping into. Stay attentive. Beloved child, receive these words with reverence, because what I speak now concerns authority. Quiet authority that does not announce itself but reshapes everything it touches. Many pray for power without understanding responsibility. But Jesus never releases authority without also refining character. What you are stepping into now will require maturity, restraint, and wisdom, not force. I, Archangel Michael, stand as a guardian of divine order, and I tell you this plainly. Your authority is increasing, whether you feel it emotionally or not. Authority in the spirit does not arrive as a rush of confidence. It arrives as clarity, steadiness, and the ability to remain unmoved when others panic. You are being trusted with influence, not for control, but for alignment. After this shift, you will notice that your presence carries weight. Words spoken calmly will land more deeply. Silence will speak louder than arguments. You will not need to convince as much as you once did. This is because authority flows from alignment, not volume. When heaven backs a life, striving becomes unnecessary. But hear this carefully. Increased authority attracts testing. Not dramatic opposition, but subtle pressure to misuse influence. You may be tempted to correct when silence would be wiser, to intervene when restraint would teach more, or to prove when trust would protect. Do not fall into that trap. True authority does not need to display itself constantly. Jesus demonstrated this perfectly. He knew when to speak, when to remain silent, and when to walk away. His authority was unquestioned because it was never insecure. You are being invited into that same posture, not to imitate, but to align. Some of you will soon be placed in situations where others look to you for direction, reassurance, or decision-making. This may happen at work, in family, or in unexpected spaces. Do not rush to answer. Pause internally. Ask for wisdom, not reaction. Heaven speaks quickly to those who wait briefly. Another shift will occur in how conflict approaches you. Issues that once escalated may dissolve quickly, not because you avoid them, but because your presence de-escalates them. This is a sign of spiritual authority maturing. Chaos does not cling where peace governs. You may also feel less compelled to defend yourself. When authority is secure, defense becomes optional. God Himself becomes your covering. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every accusation requires response. Discernment will tell you when to speak and when to let truth speak over time. However, authority also brings accountability. What you tolerate now will shape what surrounds you later. Be mindful of what you allow to remain out of convenience. Compromise erodes authority quietly. Integrity strengthens it steadily. You are also stepping into a season where obedience affects others more directly. Your choices create ripple effects. This is not pressure. It is purpose. Heaven trusts you because you have been refined through waiting. You did not rush into this. You were prepared for it. If at any moment this feels heavy, return to humility. Authority carried humbly feels light. Authority carried proudly becomes burdensome. Stay grounded in gratitude, and weight will turn into wisdom. And now, as a sign of alignment and agreement, if this message confirms what you are sensing in your spirit, type "I walk in divine authority" in the comments. Blessing code 8844 is now released over those who receive this with humility and faith. What is being released through this message is shaping lives far beyond what you can see. Every seed sown into this mission becomes oil for lamps that were about to go out, clarity for souls standing at crossroads, and strength for hearts that nearly surrendered. The Lord is speaking personally to you now, saying, "As you help carry my word forward, I will expand your territory and guard what I entrust to you." This is not ordinary giving. This is sacred partnership, where sowing opens rivers and obedience unlocks heaven's storehouse. I am calling you to act now, through super thanks, membership, or PayPal, with a link waiting in the description, because delayed obedience can mean missed impact. I bless every giver with multiplied wisdom, divine covering, and favor that speaks on your behalf. Respond now with faith, and let your obedience echo in eternity. Remain attentive. What comes next will reveal how to sustain this authority long-term without burnout, pride, or distraction, and this understanding will protect you in ways you do not yet realize. Beloved one, what I share now is about endurance, because authority that is not sustained becomes fragile. Many experience moments of elevation, but only those who learn how to remain rooted continue forward without losing balance. What Jesus is doing in your life is not temporary inspiration. It is long-term formation. This next understanding will help you remain steady when the newness wears off. I, Archangel Michael, want you to understand that seasons of authority are not maintained by constant activity, but by inner alignment. When the excitement settles and life resumes its normal rhythm, that is when true stewardship begins. The danger is not opposition. The danger is forgetfulness. Forgetting why you were aligned causes drift. There will be days ahead that feel ordinary again. Do not misinterpret normalcy as loss of anointing. God often hides strength inside routine. The same Jesus who multiplied bread also spent years in quiet obedience. Power does not disappear in stillness. It matures there. You may notice that your emotions fluctuate more subtly now. High highs and low lows begin to level out. This emotional stability is not dullness. It is grounding. When emotions no longer control decisions, discernment remains clear. This is a gift, even if it feels unfamiliar at first. Be careful not to chase intensity for reassurance. Some people mistake emotional surges for spiritual confirmation. but confirmation rests in peace, not adrenaline. If you find yourself craving dramatic moments to feel close to God, return to stillness. Closeness deepens in quiet consistency. Another test of endurance will come through patience with others. As your clarity increases, you may notice impatience rising toward those who are still learning what you have already learned. Guard your heart here. Compassion keeps authority clean. Remember how long your own process took. Extend the same grace. There will also be moments when you feel unseen again. Authority does not always bring recognition. In fact, true authority often operates behind the scenes. Do not let invisibility tempt you into self-promotion. Heaven sees what people overlook. Reward follows faithfulness, not visibility. You are also learning how to recover quickly. When mistakes happen, you will no longer spiral as deeply. This is growth. Condemnation loses its grip when identity is secure. Let this teach you resilience. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself during quiet moments. Inner dialogue shapes endurance. Replace harsh self-criticism with truth. Jesus does not lead through accusation. He leads through invitation. Speak to yourself the way heaven speaks to you. Some of you may experience a gentle pruning in this season. Not loss, but refinement. Certain activities, commitments, or habits may no longer fit. Releasing them may feel strange, but holding on to them would drain strength. Pruning increases fruitfulness, even when it feels uncomfortable. You not fear restlessness that leads to refinement. Restlessness that leads to distraction is different. Refinement brings clarity. Distraction scatters focus. Ask yourself whether what you feel is drawing you closer to purpose or pulling you away from it. You will also learn to recognize when to lean on others and when to stand alone. Independence is not strength. Discerned interdependences allow support without surrendering responsibility. Authority grows when humility remains active. There may be moments when progress feels slower than expected. This does not mean regression. Some growth is internal and invisible. Roots grow downward before branches expand outward. What is strengthening beneath the surface will support future expansion. Remember that endurance is not about pushing harder. It is about staying aligned longer. Alignment reduces strain. When you walk in step with timing, effort feels lighter even when responsibility increases. You are being trained to remain consistent without constant affirmation. This is maturity. When you no longer need reassurance to remain obedient, trust has deepened. Heaven trusts those who do not require constant reminders. Let gratitude remain your anchor. Gratitude keeps perspective clear and heart soft. Even small acknowledgments of God's faithfulness reinforce endurance. As you continue forward, know this: what Jesus has begun, He intends to complete. You are not responsible for sustaining divine work alone. You are responsible for staying aligned with it. The next revelation will address how to navigate influence wisely when others begin responding to the change in you, and how to remain grounded when attention increases. Stay attentive, because this understanding will guard you from subtle pitfalls many do not see until too late. Beloved one, what I speak now is about visibility and response, because when inner transformation becomes stable, it eventually becomes noticeable. Even when you are not trying to be seen, change announces itself. Light does not need permission to shine. It simply reveals what is already there. This is where wisdom must guide you, because increased attention requires grounded discernment. I, Archangel Michael, have watched many lose focus not when they were hidden, but when they became visible. Visibility itself is not the danger. Losing alignment while navigating it is. What Jesus is cultivating in you now must remain anchored, even as others begin to respond differently to you. You may notice people asking more questions. Some will seek advice. Others will test boundaries. A few may challenge you, not because you are wrong, but because your growth exposes what they have avoided. Do not personalize these reactions. Responses reveal hearts, not your worth. As influence increases, temptation changes shape. It no longer looks like obvious distraction. It looks like overextension. Doing too much for too many people can quietly drain what was meant to be stewarded carefully. You are not called to be everything to everyone. You are called to be faithful to what you are assigned. Learn to recognize the difference between invitation and assignment. Not every request deserves your yes. Not every opportunity requires your presence. Discernment protects energy. Without it, burnout becomes disguised as faithfulness. You will also notice that affirmation may increase. Compliments can feel encouraging, but they can also subtly shift focus if you are not careful. Receive affirmation with gratitude, but do not let it become direction. Direction comes from God, not applause. Applause fades. Assignment remains. At the same time, criticism may appear where it did not exist before. Do not let it surprise you. Growth often unsettles environments. Stay anchored in truth, not reaction. Correction that aligns with wisdom is valuable. Criticism rooted in insecurity is not. Discern the difference and respond accordingly. As you navigate this season, staying connected matters. If these messages have been guiding you, make sure you are subscribed and engaged here. This is not about numbers. It is about continuity. Revelation builds upon revelation, and staying connected helps you remain aligned as understanding deepens. If this message has been helpful, like it and share it with someone who may be entering a similar season. Alignment spreads through awareness. Sometimes one shared message becomes the clarity someone else has been praying for. Leave a comment if something here resonates with your experience. Response anchors awareness. It helps your own spirit recognize what is unfolding. Engagement is not just interaction. It is agreement. And now hear this carefully. As influence grows, humility must deepen. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking accurately about your role. You are a steward, not the source. Staying grounded in that truth keeps authority clean and effective. There will be moments when you feel pressure to maintain an image. Release that pressure immediately. Authenticity carries more authority than performance. Jesus never performed righteousness. He lived it. Follow that example. Do not rush to share everything you learn. Some revelations are meant to mature privately before being spoken publicly. Wisdom knows when silence is more powerful than speech. Timing protects truth. You may also feel a stronger sense of responsibility toward others. This is natural, but do not let it turn into weight. Responsibility guided by God feels purposeful, not heavy. If it feels heavy, pause and realign. You are not meant to carry what does not belong to you. Stay aware of your inner state. Influence without inner alignment creates instability. Regularly return to stillness. Stillness recalibrates intention. It reminds you why you began and who you serve. Let gratitude remain constant. Gratitude neutralizes pride and discouragement alike, and keeps perspective clear when responses vary. You are learning to walk with confidence without arrogance, influence without control, visibility without distraction. This balance is rare, and it is being formed intentionally in you. Before you move on, pause internally. There is a subtle truth about what comes next that many overlook, and missing it can lead to unnecessary struggle. Trust me, this next understanding will bring relief and clarity in ways you are not expecting. Keep watching, because this is where everything begins to make even more sense. Beloved soul, what I reveal now is about completion and preparation, because every divine journey has a point where understanding settles and responsibility becomes clear. Many people reach moments of insight, but few allow that insight to fully reshape how they live. This is where transformation becomes permanent, not temporary. What Jesus is doing in you now is sealing something, not just starting it. I, Archangel Michael, speak to you at this stage because this is where distraction subtly tries to return. Not as chaos, not as fear, but as familiarity. Familiar routines, familiar thinking, familiar compromises can quietly creep back in if awareness fades. This is not because you are weak, but because growth requires maintenance. What is not guarded slowly erodes. You are now standing at a place where your inner world and outer life are beginning to match. This alignment is powerful, but it also removes excuses. When clarity is present, delay becomes a choice. When peace is available, returning to chaos becomes optional. This is not pressure, it is maturity. Some of you may feel a quiet sense of finality around certain chapters of your life. Not dramatic endings, not emotional goodbyes, but a settled knowing that something has concluded. This is healthy. Closure does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it arrives as acceptance. Let it come. Do not reopen what God has gently closed. You may also feel a renewed seriousness about your purpose. Not heaviness, but focus. Things that once felt urgent may now feel unnecessary. This is discernment sharpening. As purpose clarifies, distractions lose appeal. Let that happen naturally. Do not force detachment. Allow it. There is an important truth I must share now. Preparation does not end when breakthrough begins. In fact, preparation often deepens. Responsibility increases awareness. Awareness requires discipline. Discipline protects freedom. This cycle is how spiritual authority remains stable. Jesus often withdrew to pray even after miracles. Not because he lacked power, but because intimacy sustained clarity. You are being invited into a deeper rhythm of alignment, not constant striving. Your strength will come from consistency, not effort. You may notice that your patience has changed. You are less reactive, but more decisive. This is balance for me. Activity fades when identity is secure. Decisiveness grows when direction is clear. This balance will serve you well in what comes next. Be mindful of subtle pride disguised as self-reliance. Independence that excludes God weakens discernment. Dependence that includes wisdom strengthens authority. Continue inviting God into decisions, even when you feel capable. Capability does not replace guidance. There may also be moments when you question whether you have truly changed or if this is just a phase. Let me reassure you. Phases fade quickly. Transformation remains. The fact that your responses, desires, and priorities have shifted is evidence of lasting change. You are also learning to trust silence between instructions. Silence does not mean inactivity. It means integration. What you have learned is settling into how you think, choose, and respond. This integration phase is critical. Skipping it leads to instability. Do not rush to define your future in detail. Clarity will come step by step. Overdefining too early can create unnecessary pressure. Allow direction to unfold. Trust has already been built through this journey. You may also feel a deeper sense of accountability toward yourself. You know when something is misaligned more quickly now. That awareness is a gift. Respond to it gently, not harshly. Correction rooted in grace produces growth. Correction rooted in shame produces avoidance. As this process completes, gratitude will feel less like effort and more like reflex. Gratitude becomes natural when trust is established. Let gratitude remain active. It keeps your heart open and your perspective grounded. I want you to understand something important. You are not waiting for permission anymore. You are waiting for wisdom. Permission was granted through alignment. Wisdom guides execution. This distinction matters. What Jesus has prepared for you is not fragile, is not easily lost, but it is stewarded through awareness, humility, and obedience. You are capable of this. Heaven would not entrust you otherwise. As you stand here now, reflect quietly. Look at how far you have come in understanding, peace, and clarity. This did not happen accidentally. It happened because you stayed present, receptive, and willing. The final message will bring everything together. It will seal this journey, release blessing, and clarify how to walk forward without confusion or fear. Stay with me, because what comes next will complete what has been unfolding and leave you grounded, confident, and ready. My beloved child, this is the moment where everything settles into truth, not as information, but as understanding. What you have received through this journey is not meant to excite you temporarily. It is meant to anchor you permanently. This is where confusion dissolves, striving ends, and direction becomes steady. What Jesus prepared for you was never fragile. It was waiting for readiness, and readiness has now been formed within you. I, Archangel Michael, speak to you now as one who has watched this entire process unfold from the unseen realm. You did not arrive here by accident. Every delay, every pause, every moment of questioning shaped your discernment. What once felt like wandering was actually training. What once felt like silence was instruction forming beneath the surface. You are no longer standing at the edge wondering if you will miss what God has for you. That fear has lost its authority. Awareness has replaced anxiety. Peace has replaced urgency. You now understand that divine timing is not something to chase, but something to honor. When you walk in alignment, what belongs to you meets you without struggle. From this point forward, your life will not be marked by constant searching, but by steady movement. You will recognize when to act and when to wait. You will feel when something is aligned and when it is not. This is not intuition alone. This is spiritual maturity. It is the fruit of staying present through the process instead of running from it. There will still be challenges, but they will not define you. They will refine you. You will no longer measure your progress by how quickly things change, but by how deeply peace remains. That is how you will know you are walking correctly. Remember this truth. What God releases is sustained by relationship, not effort. Stay close. Stay humble. Stay attentive. You do not need to prove anything. You only need to remain aligned. There may be moments when old thoughts try to return, questioning whether this was real or lasting. When that happens, return to what you know. Your reactions have changed. Your desires have shifted. Your peace has deepened. These are not temporary emotions. These are markers of transformation. As you move forward, simplicity will protect you. Obedience will guide you. Gratitude will anchor you. Do not complicate what God has made clear. Do not rush what God has ordered. Do not doubt what God has already confirmed. You are stepping into a season where fruit will appear naturally, not through force. Let it come. Let it grow. Let it mature. You are not late. You are not behind. You are precisely where you need to be. And now, As this message seals, I release this over you. If you receive this completion in your spirit, type "I walk in divine alignment" in the comments as a final act of agreement. Blessing code 3399 is now activated over your obedience, your clarity, and your future. What you have just experienced is more than a message. It is a movement of God's word reaching hearts at the exact moment they need it. Every seed sown into this mission becomes a voice for those who felt forgotten, light for those walking in uncertainty, and strength for souls standing at the edge of surrender. The Lord is speaking directly to you now, saying, "As you help carry my word forward, I will guard what I have entrusted to you and multiply what you place in my hands." This is not ordinary giving. This is prophetic obedience, a response to divine alignment, where sowing opens heavens and obedience releases favor. I command you to act now, through super thanks, by joining membership, or through PayPal using the link in the description, because delayed obedience can mean delayed impact. I bless every supporter with protection, increase, and peace that surpasses understanding. Obey now, support this mission, and let heaven respond to you in ways that will confirm everything you have just received.